gain some insight in terms of how to actually do that work. Next, is anyone currently using or know about Power Apps? Okay, I'm also fairly new to it. I'm definitely no expert on the Power Apps side of things. So if you guys ever got any suggestions or someone asks questions that I don't know the answer to, so what Power Apps is a basically they try to design it as a no-code or low-code business application solution. So what this means is you can then create an app that the business users can use to basically input data into your organization. So whether it's say a person who's on the factory floor and they need to capture some inputs, you can very quickly create an app using Power Apps that is then available on the mobile, and they just update that information to be on the mobile that will then write back to a particular source. Are there any questions so far? Okay. So, as I said before, just demo building the Power. I'll explain what the demo data set is. I'll pull the report, pull the Power App, pull the reports, and bring the two together, and then see the refresh happening after that. So that's pretty much the last slide. How you guys? Thanks for sitting. How's you guys? So, just a quick overview. In terms of the data that I'm going to be using today, it's a very simple data set that I've just made up. What I've made up is let's see how well this will work. So, all it really is it's pretty much year, some names, some salaries, and some bonus, and who might give themselves a bonus. So, that's pretty much the essence of what I'm going to do. I'm going to build the Power App based on this Excel spreadsheet, ingest it, do one or two changes, and then from there put it into the Power BI reports and update the Power BI reports and then see the changes. So this is essentially what the change over here. Sorry. We'll see how it goes. It should be okay. So, in order to, you get different data sources that you can bring into Power Apps. So, in order, if you've got an Excel spreadsheet that you want to use for Power Apps, the requirement is that this has to be formatted as a table. And what I've done is I've just given it the table name of salaries. You can give it any name, but if you don't format it as a table, when you try and bring it into Power Apps, it won't actually find that. It won't find your data source. So, what I'll now do is move over to Power Apps. So this is pretty much what Power Apps looks like when you log in. And from my understanding, if you've got Office 365 subscription, you can use the current functionality I'm using in Power Apps. It is part of it. They do have other licensing SKUs that you can use depending if you want to use a common data service, or as far as I'm aware, if you're using Dynamics 365, you get the licensing that was included in that for Power Apps. So what I now want to do is I want to create my Power App. So I'll click on Apps, and what you can see over here is you get an option to create an app. So what this will do, this will then open the next window. Hopefully it shouldn't take too long to load. And what I'd say is you can also get as I'm doing it all here web-based, you can actually get a download install that you can run on your computer that can also do the same thing. I just prefer to run it out of the card, it's a lot easier. So when you come to the Create an App screen, you get a whole lot of options here where you can use the common data service, which is a premium feature, OneDrive for Business, etc. As well as you get these options if you want to create a blank app or an app template. What I found for me personally is when I was trying to start using this, when I create something from blank, it gets quite difficult to create all the screens that you need, which I'll show you, which you create your automatically if you created your data connection. So you've already got your data yourself. Can I just have an app that I can browse with and view the information? So what I found, and it took me a little while to find it, is if you just scroll all across, so obviously you can move your screen up, there's just this little arrow here. And if I click on that, what that then brings up, and it brings up all my connections, which I have, say, previously established. And in order to, if I need to, I can create a new connection. And as you can see, there's a whole host of connections that they have in here. It's quite a long list, and I know that they keep on adding to it, etc. So what I have, I'm currently storing my Excel file in OneDrive for Business. And so when I click on OneDrive for Business, this is now, will connect through. And now you can see I've got all my folders, which is essentially the same as what I've got here. If I click over here, it's the same thing. And so I'm going to go to SQL Saturday Sydney, click on my Saturday data file. And now what you'll see is it'll say choose a table, where that's the same table that I created. When I first did this, I got this file and I was like, why can't I see the data? And then just reading up to base said, okay, you need to have it formatted on the table. So now all that I do is I actually click on the table and I click next. Now the great thing with doing it this way, this is going to go and build all those screens for me, which will show up in a few seconds. And while you can potentially build this manually, I haven't got to the point. For me, I like to do things as most typically say as efficiently as possible. So if something else can build it for me, well, I'm going to let it build it for me. So this is pretty small. I'll try and zoom in where I can. But now, what we've got is this is your Power Apps interface where you can now edit your app, and change different things. So what you have here on the left is you've got your home screen with some items. You've got an insert screen if you want to insert new screens, labels. There's a whole lot of information and things that you can do in your forms. You've got your view items, you've got your action items where you can do different things. For instance, if you want to create a flow. So that's on the top. And then what you get now, this is where I find it really useful, is you get these three screens here. So you've got your browse screen, which is this one that is showing up over here. So this is almost like, somewhere where you're looking at some information. Then what you've got is you've got a detail screen, which is what happens when you can click through. You've got a particular item, I want to see what the detail is of that item. So that's where it'll go through and show you that screen. And finally, you've got an edit screen. So what that is, and I'll show you how this works in a second, is where you can potentially go and edit the information that you've got. So what I found is by clicking on the connections and then connecting to the data, it's pulled this all for me, which is great. To try and build this myself, I try to do it and I managed to do it. Yes?
I have a question. What if you don't have OneDrive for Business, just have a standalone Excel file? Would you still be able to pull up a built-in app like this?
It might just depend on one of the other connections. So if I go into here, connections, you'll either need to just see, because you can connect to, say, Gmail, it could be stored in Google Sheets. It would have to be one of these connections that it can connect to. But also know that there is functionality to create a custom connector that could connect to potentially anything. So I guess it just depends. I haven't gone through, they've got OneDrive. This is OneDrive Personal, so you've got a normal OneDrive. That's not associated with the company, you've just got to sign in. I'm just trying to see SharePoint, so yeah.
Now, it just gets a little confusing when you get into the environments and the setup. No,
it can definitely, it must definitely get a bit confusing. So, I suppose, are there any other questions so far? Is everyone following along? Cool. So what you can do is when you're building your Power App, you've got this option here which says preview of the app. And what it is, it's as if the app is running on your device. What I'm actually just going to do is just want to close that. Just go back to the browse screen, because that's typically where your app will load up. And as you can see, this is formatted to use on a mobile device. And now what I can do is I can come in here and I can find myself and I can say, okay, And now you can see I've got the browse screen. I've been like, okay, well, I haven't been working too hard this year. I don't deserve a good bonus, so I'm just going to give myself $10. So what you can then do, I've now edited that screen. You click on save, and what that's actually doing is it's writing back to that Excel file. And as you can see, it's now got the bonus of 10 in there. So if I go back, I can go backwards and forwards, and you can change this on the fly exactly whatever your requirements are. So one of the things that I will do here is, for instance, you can go and, everything is, we'll go back to this one. Yeah. So over here, for instance, I could say, okay, I actually want the full, because obviously for my consultancy I like the pink, and I can go and change it. So you can do a whole lot of different changes, but one of the things I will change is, just to show you, is on the detail screen. Currently, on the browse screen, for instance, all I currently have is I've just got my name, I don't have, and then I want to put in a bit more information. So what I can do is if I click on view or data sources, the screen might get a bit due to the size there on that one. Running out of space, there you go. So now what I want to do is I say, okay, I actually don't want title and subtitle, I want title, subtitle, and body. So what you'll see, it'll take a second. So what I'll now do is I'll say, okay, I don't want year and year over here, I want to put, click from the drop down, from the columns of my table, and I want to put bonus. So now if I close that, what we should now see is, you can now see it's got the bonus values in there, and if I click off there, I should see. Just try that again. I can see there's the number of 10 for me. So one of the other things I'll quickly do is if I just go here, for instance, I want that to be in a dollar. I don't want it to be just 10, because if it's a whole lot of different values, so what I can then do is I can go over here, and if you can see over here, if anyone's used any Power Query, that type of thing, the syntax is similar, and you can actually use some Power Query functionality in Power Apps. So what I can now do is I can say, okay, I'm going to just get rid of this. I'll obviously just got the code, so if I just go. And what I'm now basically doing is I'm saying, okay, I want to format this as a currency with the comma values. So now what I should see is if I now go and view this app, I can now see it's got the $10 in there. And what I'd have to do is change it on each screen. So it can be a bit of a process, but once it's done, it's done for everyone who wants to use it for the organization. So are there any other questions so far? Cool. So now I'm happy, got my app. I now want to save this. So what I can do is I can now go, I click on file and I'll give it a name. So I'll go SQL Saturday. And what you can do, depending on what you do, is you can change the orientation, and sometimes you can change the screen size. And then all I want to do is I want to click save. So now it says, where do you want to save it? Is this computer or the cloud? So I'm going to say, no, I want to save it on the cloud, because that's how I'm going to access it. And also, when you're creating these apps, they all can all be permissions based, so you can decide who can and can't see that, because obviously you sometimes will have sensitive information that you don't want everyone in the organization to see. And now it comes up, and you do get the options who you want to share this app with. And it works off the same as your Active Directory, so you can use groups in that in order to who you want to share it with. So I'm not going to go through that now, I'm just doing a simple demonstration. So that's pretty much, I've built my Power App, I'm happy it's writing back, I'm good to go. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a Power BI desktop. And all I'm going to do is create a simple report that's looking at that same Excel file. but I can't actually. Yeah. So in order for me to get all this data all working, what I'm doing is I'm just going to connect to a folder that I have already created, and I'll show you later on where the Power BI gateway is connecting to the same Excel file that the Power Apps file is looking at, just so that later on I can actually refresh this data. So
Copy folder in the front, I think, or at the start of the string.
Oh, anyway. Yeah. Okay, thank you. I'll spend the next 10 minutes trying to figure out why it's not working. Okay. So as you can see, this brings up the folder, and what I always suggest is, obviously I only need one file, but I always suggest you rather click on the edit and go into the query editor. And what I'm going to do here is just like one or two little basic things is, what I find is if I just want to keep this file, because that's the file I'm after, I can just go text filters and equals, and what that'll do, that'll just now basically filter for that particular file. There's obviously, as with Power BI, there's always more than one way to do the same thing. It's just whatever is going to particularly work. So here you can see I've got my Excel file again, and I want to connect to the salary table. So when I connect to the salary table, as you can see, I've got the value of 10, so I'm looking at the same source. And what Power Apps does is it puts in this particular ID here, which is obviously something it uses to control it. But because we're using Power BI, we don't need to worry about that. We can simply just go remove. I don't need to see that table. And for instance, for the bonuses, I'm just going to say replace the null values. Instead of it being blank, I just want to make it 0. Sorry. Okay. And now that's pretty much all I'm going to do to the data. Is just I've got my year, my name, and my salary and my bonus. So I'm just going to rename this. Let's just rename this to something more interesting than C drive, which isn't really meaningful. And I'm just going to close and apply this to the. So I'm just quickly going to go in here and just change the year to do not summarize, and to make it a whole number, so it doesn't go here dot. And then what I'm going to do, it's going to be interesting once it's going to put on the small screen, but I'll zoom in where I can, is I know typically you'll go, the best practice is you should go create the, I typically would go, depending on time, to create actual measures and that, because it makes it a lot more easier for reusability and that, but I'll zoom in now on this. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put name here, and let me make this font a little bigger. So this. So for instance, if I have to do that and zoom in, you can then see I've got my, my same data. I've created a very simple matrix just to highlight, and also when I'm refreshing the data just to see how it's happening. But obviously, depending on your data that you're connecting to, you can create all these rich visualizations. Have some coming from a database, some coming from this particular spreadsheet. You're bringing it all together. Guys are doing budgets and that type of thing. So now that I've got that done, the next thing I want to do is to now bring in my Power App. And you can do this either from the Power BI desktop or from the web. So in order to do that, it's actually a custom visual. So I've got to click on Import from Marketplace. Go into the search. If I just search for Power App, the store is currently in preview. So depending on what happens with that, and there is also what I'm showing is with Power Apps today. It's just a very simple writeback. How you can write back and refresh the data, but you can also have your data interact with Power App. So you can click on a particular item in your visual, which will then filter through to your Power App and only show you the related content to that. haven't created that as of yet. You need to typically connect it with some data. And in this example, I'm just going to use name. Because I'm not putting the data sets, to cross-pull to each other, I can actually select anything. So, so what it's done is, because I'm in the same domain, it says, okay, here's my same domain, choose an existing app. So now what I can do is I can go through and all the apps that you've created and you've got permissions to, you will see. So I'm just going to click on the one I've just created with the green and click add. So this just comes up saying it's not supported, it's just because it's using IE. So now as you can see, this is now bringing up the screen resolution is not great, but you can see it's the same app with the same colors. It's now pretty much used within Power BI. So what you can do is this typically, if you put it in and you start to drag it around, it will start scaling it. So it actually, because typically it is designed for mobile phone, and I'll show you an example a little bit later on where I've formatted it and created like a much, where I've got some time to obviously spend and create a report with the Power BI and how it all interacts. So that's pretty much if I do that. You can then see, it's got the two data sets looking at each other. So let me just save that. So okay, are there any questions? You're flying through this, so feel free to ask. So now I've saved the app. So now what I want to do is I want to publish this up to the Power BI service, as you normally would within your report. So I'm just going to publish it into this app workspace. I don't have anything. So obviously, if you've created it before, it'll prompt you if you want to replace, etc. Okay, so we have success. That's
Gilbert,
yeah.
can you interact with the app on desktop, or does it have to be published to the service?
No, it'll still both will work. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So you most definitely can. For instance, my going here, you can do now. And I've been like, I've worked hard this week. I deserve a bigger bonus, and I change that to 100. So now that's done. So obviously now, because you're on the desktop and I click in here and I click refresh, that's now going to go to the same file, and that's now updated that to 100. So you can interact with it. Yeah. So if I go back to my workspaces and I go back to my presentation, like that, what I now have is I have my SQL Saturday set up, and now this will spin up and show the same information. As you can see, it's really, because it's looking back at the Excel file, just put it in 100, that's updated to 100. Because this currently hasn't been refreshed since then, this is sitting still at 10. So I'll make sure. Yeah.
Two questions.
Yes.
One is in the Power app, in the Power BI suite.
Yeah.
You included the Power app in the visualization by importing something, isn't it?
Yes.
What was that? Sorry.
Marketplace.
So Power BI almost treats the Power app as a custom visual that it's using to interact with the data. So you've got to import it as a custom visual. And then in order for to use the custom visual, typically you always need a field of some sort in the visual to get it going.
Yep.
So what I did is I just drag in name. I could drag in any item from here in order to get this Power app to actually have information that will then come up and say choose my app.
Can you just show you going and grabbing the custom visual again?
Yeah.
I think that's. I don't have to delete it. But.
It's alright. So I'll just
So you're only pulling in column because you have to have some column in there.
yeah.
But the actual structure behind that is predefined in Power Apps.
That is correct. But the reason what happens is when you want to cross filter your Power app with a visual, that's when you need the column name. So say for instance you've got sales by customer as a Power BI visual, and you've got a Power App that's also got sales by customer, and you want to say you change a budget for a customer. What will happen is you need in your Power Apps, you need the customer name to be part of that Power App, because that, otherwise Power BI and Power Apps don't know how to relate the two different worlds. They're essentially different information sitting in different environments. So what you're doing is you're relating the customer in the visual to the data set with the same name. So that's when it becomes important in terms of what fields you're dragging into your Power App to create that relationship. So,
another question. Can you add annotations? So if you're making a change in value, you can add a comment annotation.
Yeah, well, in the actual Power App, for instance, if I just go back here, as I said, I could essentially say, for instance, if I let's just say, for example, I click on January 2017, now forget it. Even though this is a name, say that your annotation or you want a comment, I could say, this is my comment, and save that. So and then that'll save, and you can create and add different items and all that. So now, if I go back to Jane Doe, and for instance, if I just go back here and I have to refresh this, you'll then see. You'll now see that I've got my comments on the left. It's not very clear, but on the bottom on the left, so you can have that annotation associated to particular data. So it does make it really flexible in terms of what you can and can't do. So, for instance, so in order, coming back to, so because it's considered a custom visual in terms of the Power App, how to basically bring a Power App into your Power BI report, you need to go and get the Power App custom visual from the store and download it. Once it's then so does that make sense? Just let me know if
No, this was my question. Though, from how do you get that?
Yeah.
The second one was for playing all these Power Apps and Power BI.
Yeah.
What kind of license do you need?
So for Power Apps, as long as you've got an Office 365 license, you can do exactly what I'm doing today in terms of bringing data in and connecting it to Excel sheets. What they have in Power Apps, like they've got Office 365, which is your standard, and you get all those connectors, the out-of-the-box connectors to OneDrive, SharePoint, all that, those kind of things. And then they've got premium connectors, which is a different license, like one up that you can pay for. And then if you're using Dynamics 365, it's actually included as part of that, where you get the full suite of Power Apps. So there's just a little bit of different functionality or additional functionality depending on what you need. But if you currently got Office 365 and say Power BI or Power BI Pro, you can go and do all of this.
So Gilbert,
Yes.
so in the Power App, is it possible to include the additional columns
Yep.
on top of whatever I got in the spreadsheet, or to do a what if analysis as a parameter, if I want to pass in some value to see how the output looks like?
Yeah. So to just understand, so you've got your Power App.
So Power App, I can
Yep.
try to the Excel whatever the data attached to it.
Yep.
On top of the existing columns, data columns, if I
Yeah.
want to add the additional column
Yeah.
in the Power App,
Yeah.
and so that I can feed in the custom value as a parameter to
Yeah.
see what the output looks like.
Yeah.
Kind of a what if analysis.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure. Maybe, possibly. I'm not 100% sure on it. Yeah. It just. I think it also depends on how you're setting up your data, and because you always need to write back to something. So if you're creating a column, say in a spreadsheet, and it doesn't exist, obviously you need to write it back in some kind of thing.
Yeah, the other question is in Power BI, if I deploy the Power BI reports in an app, in a mobile app, so can I write that from the Power BI if I launch it the mobile? Instead of going to app.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you've got it all, it's all deployed on the service, is fine, but now you actually got it on your phone and you go into that actual report.
Yeah.
I actually haven't tried.
Okay.
But what you can do is you can download too many words actually. You can download the Power app. And what that is when you log in, you will then get just the app on your phone. So obviously you're not getting the best of both, where you're seeing the inputs of the app and the visualization, but you can do that. We can try it afterwards if you like, because I actually just haven't tried it. I'm not sure what it will do. It will be interesting to see.
In your demo, so you're writing back to your Excel spreadsheet.
That's correct, yeah.
If your data source is SQL DB, can you also write back to your DB?
Absolutely. It's just a connection.
Okay.
So all that in Power Apps, it says, okay, I'm showing this data. Where is it coming from? So if we can read it, it can write back. And that's when you in the connection screen over here. For instance, if I just here, if I go to connections and I say add new connection. For instance, I know that there is and I've done it before for another organization where, the data is just sitting in the SQL table.
Okay.
So if I go over here and I search for SQL,
so it doesn't
should come up. I've got a SQL database, Postgres, MySQL, and as long as you can, if you can connect to it and read it out, you can write back into it.
So it doesn't matter if it's cloud or on-prem, doesn't matter.
No, the SQL server. Oh, okay. So just another thing is you can. So what it is when you set up Power BI, you set up Power BI Gateway, it all uses the same gateway.
Okay.
So as you can see over here, I've got two gateways. This one is currently running.
Yep.
I'm not sure what will happen if I click on it. Let's actually see. And here you can see it's busy checking and it's saying it's live. So definitely you can have your data sitting on premise and the gateway exactly like Power BI will create that conduit or that connection from Power Apps to your on-premise data.
Thanks.
Okay. So back to Power Apps, and as I was saying, because I'm not cross-filtering or using any data, I just, in order, like with any visual, you put the visual on the page, it just comes up as blank. You need to put some content, whether it's a column or a measure in there, to actually invoke the visual to display something to you. And because Power Apps is effectively a visual, you need to put something onto the visual in order for it to be able to, to render some content. So I'll just go back here. Actually, don't. Quickly. That's it there. And so for instance, if we just go back here, we can now see that the app's created, and so what I now need to do is I now need to go into the settings and obviously just connect my Power BI report to the gateway. It's one of the things you currently still got to do when you upload it. So I click on data sets, and now what I have is I've got my option to, okay, I want to connect to my gateway, and that's so that when the Power Apps writes back to the Excel spreadsheet in the cloud, my Power BI report can then go query that and bring that information back. So if I just go back to my reports and just go in my report, this should bring up so say for instance, I just should be able to refresh this. Oh, it's actually done. Pretty cool, yeah. So there's the one from before that says my comment. So I'm going to go in here and say, actually, I've decided I'm the boss. I deserve a big bonus because I've been hardworking. And so now I change that. And obviously, as you can see on the different screens, if I were to just zoom in here, you can see because I formatted the first screen with the values to say, okay, this is currency, put the commas in. That does appear versus the other screens, the colors are different in that. So there is a bit of work to be done if you want to just spice it up and make it look good, which I'll show you an example where I've done that on another one. So now I've basically updated that, and I would like to see this information updated here. So what I then need to do is just in my data set, I just click on refresh now, which, you can schedule that refresh. It just depends on how your data is connected. So what happens is this shouldn't take too long. But what I find is when you're in the report, you've actually still got to go and click on the refresh. And as you can now see, it's come in. I've got a nice big bonus. It's got the name earlier, from the annotation, depending on how you want to do it. It's brought that in, and you can now see it's got all the zeros that I put in earlier for the specific ones itself being null. And so that in a nutshell is pretty much showing how you can interact and create the Power BI report and get the two working together. So what I just wanted to show you was this is one where I've created, it's not going to look quite, it might look a bit small. No, sorry, wrong side. So this is try to see if that makes it. There you go. So this is one where I've gone through and I've just put a bit more work in and created it. So again, I've got, this is actually funny enough, it should be looking at the same data set once it's refreshed. So over here I've just got my report where I've just put in some slices where I can just, change a few things around. And this, what I've done here is, okay, it doesn't look great on the screen, it's quite small, but what it is, I've just changed the form in the custom size so that it'll actually fit better inside the Power BI report. And what you'll see is if I, this might make it a bit bigger. What I can then do is if I just want to just make sure, I might be writing back to a different, yeah, it's a different data set. So over here, as you can see, I can still go through, I've just changed it, I've done a bit of formatting and a bit of changing things up here. And just making a change to that. So if I go back to the Power BI report, so what I've done here, the reason I've got this click to refresh button here, so what I'm actually doing here is I've created an Azure function that is connected to Microsoft Flow that's connected back to the Power App. So instead of me having to go and click on the little button that says, oh, refresh now, everyone prefers to just have a button on the report that says, oh, click to refresh. So if I just click that refresh, what that'll do is that's now basically doing the work for me and going back and doing that. But as always, we've got to wait for a few seconds for that to happen. You can see the time over here is the last refresh date. And if it all works, you can now see that that has now worked where the data's been updated. Where I updated that to 100, as well as the.
You have the filter on?
Sorry?
The filter is on.
Oh yeah. And then, which I also put in here is just the time it's actually refreshed, which is refreshed now in terms of the actual the date time. So it's actually just another way, if you're building something for the business that want it to look good and want it to interact and work properly. Where it's also easy for the business user to be able to, I can just make a change and I want to see that change in my report. This is one of the ways where you can actually just do it and create it for them, where they can just interact with the report. They don't have to go out and do anything else.
Sorry, could you do that as a streaming data set? Power BI app.
Well, a streaming data set you can't really write to.
Okay.
Because you're just reading the streaming data set, but I guess you could write to it, I suppose, if you're writing it out to somewhere else, and depending on if it's a connection that Power Apps can connect to, like say Azure SQL database or even an on-premise database, depending on how you're streaming that data, I guess to be able to capture what you want to update and change, you most definitely can. If it's like a point in time, etc. Yeah. As long as the data is persistent somewhere, Power Apps can read that out, and the person can make a change and you can write it back. But obviously, depending, sometimes you want users to make changes to data, sometimes you won't, you don't. So that's pretty much it. Are there any other questions? I've gone through this part. It's the first time I've done it. So.
Can you explain the gateway refresh again? I thought you were Why do you need the Azure connector if you had a OneDrive file?
Oh, I've just done it this way for sure, definitely. If you're just using a OneDrive direct, if I isn't performing, and that's it. What I suggest doing is when you go and you create a new app, under here, and you go create an app, what you could potentially do is just connect to one of the basic ones that typically come up here, and some of them, the app templates over here. So if I click on Phone, where they have got different templates that can do different things, and that's how I've learned to, oh, create it all for me, and I want to see how it's actually doing it, and then work back from there. Yes.
Which are some of the popular use cases in your experience you've come across that use Power Apps and Power BI together?
Yeah, so what I found is almost often is where you've got guys on the floor or out somewhere doing some work where, as the other gentleman alluded to, is you just want to capture something. You need a point in time, and in the past, to create something that's on their mobile device, easy and quick for them to do, where it's very, it's just like, oh, tell me what the temperature was of a device. When you got to check every hour, you just put in the temperature, it will tell you when it is. In the past, that was quite a challenge to get that working. Everyone's got a phone, or so that's the one side, is by using Power Apps, it's really easy and quick to be able to create that app. Like here, you created it, it's going to work, as long as they've got connectivity, possibly, and from that side. And then the other side is where you've got this capability where some people just will then read that information, so they'll never have the two sitting side by side. But then you've got other organizations that want to see, okay, if I make a change to my data, how does it affect? What is the impact? So even though it's what the other gentlemen do, we do like a lot quicker what-if analysis. Sometimes, it'll be okay, if we change the budget to this, how does it affect the other parts of the organization, or how does it affect their targets and that? So often it just comes down to that business use case of where, what type of data you're trying to input and what output you're trying to achieve. Any more questions?
How do you manage that? Sorry.
Yeah.
So everyone can update data there, but how do you manage who did what kind of?
So you want to know who updated what?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure in the Power Apps you always know the user that's logged in and that's looking at the report. And I haven't double checked, but I'm pretty sure there'll be a function that, it's almost like using the table. So when they write back, you can just say, this is the person that did it at this point in time. So you can definitely, store who did what when. So okay, Bob came in and he changed it to 100 at 10 o'clock, and then Sally came in and she changed it to 10 at 10:30. You want to know why is it now 10 instead of 100 kind of thing. And then I'm pretty sure you can store it in the back end. So, or not in the back end, somewhere where the users, they just see the report. They don't know all these extra columns that are there, but they just did it. She came in and definitely hide the data. Okay, if there's no more questions, thank you. I hope you found it valuable. If you've got any questions, are you quickly going to do that draw?
Everyone